Welcome to Ship and Sip. I'm your host, Erin, and I manage ShipStation's community, which is a place where users like you can network, share tips and tricks, and help each other solve complex workflow problems. Today, we are going to be speaking to and have been speaking with the amazing Parker Stelly, the co-founder of Deco Exchange. And before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsors, Channel Advisor and American Eagle, for sponsoring today's event. Thank you guys so much. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. And as a reminder, we will be doing a Q&A at the end of the panel discussion. So please make sure to submit any questions you have in the chat. We will be giving away a decorative wreath from Deco Exchange. So make sure to submit a question in the comment section to be entered to win. All right. And also, if you haven't seen, Cassandra put in some resources for you. If you wanted to check out and learn a little bit more about today's sponsors, you can go ahead and do those in the chat. So let's get to the reason why we're here. Hi,
Parker. Hey, what's up, y'all?
Can you tell us about yourself and explain what Deco Exchange is for people who don't know?
Yeah, sure. My name is Parker, you guys. I am the co-owner of Deco Exchange. We do a lot of stuff, but we're most known for probably three things. We make and sell decorative wreaths, we sell craft supplies, and we also teach creative businesses how to sell their product online. So that is kind of the main points of Deco Exchange and what we do as a business.
That's amazing. That's kind of a niche thing to get into. So when did you launch Deco Exchange, and how did you come up with that idea?
So we've been working the business for quite some time, but we really kind of kicked it into gear in 2017. Damon and I, my partner and I, were both chemical engineers. So we worked in the oil and gas industry for I worked for probably 5 years. Damon was a little older than me, so probably 8 or 9 years. And Damon just liked to make wreaths. So that was kind of his pastime, his stress relief. And then he realized that he was really creative and really good. And we basically just kind of morphed that into a business where we sold wreaths. We did craft shows. We, went on live. We did social media. We kind of just turned it into a business, like we knew, the oil and gas corporations run their businesses. So we kind of just morphed it into something like that. But that's kind of where it all began. It was just a stress relief for my partner, and we just kind of took it from there and ran.
That's amazing. Just to address Nancy, it's Deco, so DECO Exchange.
Yep, that's right.
And that's really cool. That's a big jump, but it's cool to see when your passion, like especially when it's your partner, seeing their passion become something that you want to jump behind and support. That's super.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, are you a crafter yourself, or are you just a supporter?
I'm actually not. I've watched so many videos and done so many things. I can kind of do it now, but it's not really something I do for fun or to pass time. But absolutely, like running the business is definitely, or helping run the business, I should say, is definitely something I've kind of found some happiness in. I can use some of my skills and kind of help grow the business that way. So it's definitely been fun for me.
I mean, it's good to have you here. I know everybody's going to be really excited with your great business expertise. So again, just a reminder, you can put your questions in the chat so you can pick Parker's brain about all that stuff. So Parker, how long have you been with ShipStation, and what's your favorite feature so far?
I want to say we started using ShipStation somewhere around 2019, if I recall correctly. My favorite tool so far that came with ShipStation is definitely the scan to verify. We just kind of like I told you, we started out as engineers. This wasn't something we were trained in. We didn't go to business school. I definitely didn't go to like warehouse management training or anything like that. So we really kind of learned by trial by fire, learn from experience, whatever you want to call it. So there was a point in time where we were just hand checking things. We didn't have locations. We didn't use barcode scanners. We didn't do any of that. But scan to verify has been a really cool addition to our business, and it's really helped not only get orders out faster, but also get them out more accurately.
And that's the name of the game, isn't it? You have to be fast, but you also have to be accurate.
Yeah, because I mean, if you send out a shipment either to the wrong customer or with the wrong stuff in it, you just lost all your profit and probably made someone kind of upset. And just to give you guys an idea, I didn't talk about it much, but we ship around 10,000 packages per month. We've grossed around $6.5 million so far this year. So we're packing a lot of stuff. We're shipping out a lot of stuff. We're moving a lot of product. So I just wanted to throw that out there just so you guys know I'm not some like random guy, and just to give you an idea of what we do.
Damon's got you in the chat. He already had you.
Yeah, Damon's a marketer, so he's gonna make sure everybody knows what the heck's going on out here.
I like that. I like that. So what has been speaking of that, what has been your digital marketing strategy so far? And what have you learned since launching?
We basically leverage Facebook. We organic Facebook. We don't really do much with Facebook ads, but we go live. We turn the camera on. We show off our product. We show people how to use it, and that's where probably 90% of our sales come from right now. We just built a community, basically. One of our I guess the pillars of what we teach, like I said, we do teach business owners and creative business owners. But one of the things is you need to show your customers how to use your product, and you also need to serve them before you sell to them. So if you turn on the camera and you just try to sell, it could work for a little while, but there's much more success in teaching people, in growing that community, and then selling them the solution to a problem that you know that they have.
As a big believer in the power of community, I love that strategy. You know, the proof is in the pudding before anything else. You've got to be able to show value and a reason. So that's amazing. So when you guys go live, what kinds of things do you do? Do you like teach? Do you do like live webinars, or do you pack orders?
So there's usually two things that happen when we go live. If Damon goes live, he's using some product from our shop and making a finished product with it. So he'll take some ribbon, he'll take some mesh, he'll take, everything that we sell and turn it into something beautiful that the end user could hang on their door and would be beautiful. If I go live, I'm strictly selling. So I'm showing off some new product that we got in. I'm telling them, it's 10 yards, it's 1.5 inch, it's wired, it's for Christmas. I'm showing them or telling them what it could be used for, to give them ideas. Most of our community is creative, so I want to inspire them with something that I have to sell. So that's kind of my goal when I go live, is to strictly sell. But when Damon goes live, he goes to strictly teach. So we kind of tag team. He kind of inspires them in that way, and then I inspire them with some cool product.
Now, have you noticed that one of them is like a little bit more powerful, or are they both equal in their rights of success, if that makes sense?
Both of them are really important, in my opinion. Like I was saying earlier, if you don't build that community and that trust, if you guys ever go onto our Facebook page, you can see that Damon's definitely an expert, but he entertains and educates. And that's the main goal, is to educate. So once we have those people and they know us, they like us, they trust us, I go in and I say, hey, look at this great stuff. You can make something just like what Damon made with this. So there's two very key points to what we're doing. And I think they're both really, really important.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's such a good strategy too. Moving on to the next question. What channel did you underestimate but has turned out successful for you?
We're kind of everywhere now. When we started out, we were strictly on Facebook. But even now, whenever we go live, I'm really surprised by the power that the live video brings. So I think if you guys are not like utilizing any kind of live video, whether that be, Facebook lives, Instagram lives, YouTube lives, whatever it is, you should really try it out, because live video just builds such a strong connection with someone immediately. And you guys watching me now, if I was just talking onto a recorded camera or just trying to teach you or educate you, you wouldn't get a feel for my attitude, my emotions, what I kind of how I express myself. But now that you see me on live video, you've instantly either built a connection with me or you don't like me, which is fine too. But that live video gives your customer that. So if you're not using live video, it's a really, really powerful strategy to utilize for your business.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. I know, especially with like TikTok now, becoming
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
big thing for businesses. I mean, I'm sure the lives are a little bit more personal, like on Facebook and other places,
Yeah,
as I
absolutely.
experienced too many of those on TikTok. But yeah, that's seems to be kind of a new trend that people are hopping on because obviously it's very successful.
Sure. Sure.
Uh, what would you say are your outside of live would be your top three recommended digital strategies for small e-retailers right now?
Definitely serve before you sell is one of the main ones for sure. Like you have to build that connection with someone. I think the days of, just kind of telemarketing or just saying sell, buy, sell. I think that time is over, personally. And I feel like building that connection with your customer and letting them know that you're a real person. Your business is not just some random blip out in space, that you have a family, you have kids, you have hobbies, you have, like, you're a real person too. I think building that connection is really, really important. And I can't stress that enough. I'm always going to go back to that, making sure that you're building a community. Um, but I see a lot of people, even if they have a community, they don't realize that you have to solve the problem for the customer. You're in the weeds, you're doing all the things, and you already know what your product can do. But if you don't show people how it can solve a problem for them, they're always going to have that idea in the back of their mind, like, oh, well, I can't buy that because of this. But if you let them know that, this ribbon can solve a problem and make something beautiful for your door, it kind of negates that back of their mind thought, like, I shouldn't buy this. So if you go in and you answer all of their questions for them and give them all the reasons why this is a good idea, that's going to help you sell.
That's that's so smart. Thinking about, all of the negative things or the problems that people could bring up and how your product is going to
Sure.
solve it. That
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's powerful.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. I mean, whenever you go to buy something, how many times do you try to talk yourself out of it? Like, oh, I don't really need it because XYZ, or, oh, I shouldn't do this because I already do that, or whatever it is. If you go in and already clear that up for your customer, they don't even have to go through that. You already did it for them. So you made sure that it was a good idea for them.
yeah, same thing as removing the amount of clicks to get to the cart. It's removing the doubts to get to the cart to get to your clicks.
Sure. Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your social media strategy, and how you did amass such a large following, and if you have
Sure.
any tips outside of what we've kind of discussed to grow followers and subscribers?
Sure. Show up for your people, be consistent about it. A lot of, like I said, we teach a lot of creative people, and the biggest thing is persistence and consistency. Like, those are my two instances that I tell people all the time, is just make sure you're consistently showing up. Like, if you're going to do a video, like, keep doing video. It's not just going to be a light switch where, you go live one time and you're like, oh, this guy, I didn't get anything, nothing happened. You have to keep doing it. It kind of snowballs, and sometimes you got to start with just one little flake and then it balls into something else. But yeah, persistence and consistency for me is the key by far.
Yeah, just keeping with it, right?
Yep. Yep. And again, I'm always going to say live video is where it is, because it just builds that connection, especially if you're trying to grow your social media following. Live video is second to none when it comes to growing that following, finding the right person, and really growing a like-minded group of people, because it just kind of takes a life of its own at some point.
How did you get over the growing pains? Like, how did you get over like that moment where you're like, I'm doing the same stuff every day. This is maddening. This is ridiculous. It's not working.
Um, so I'm a big believer in mental health. So I struggle a lot with the same thing. Like, whenever I'm stuck in a rut or whatever it is. So I've been in therapy for over 2 years now, and that's really changed me as a business owner, as a human, as an everything. It's been one of the keys to my success personally, is making sure that you're taking care of yourself mentally. But when it comes to the rest of the growing pains that come along with that, finding the right help, putting the right people in place, really optimizing the whole process. Like I was saying earlier, we were hand checking things. We were not using barcodes. I didn't know where any of our product was in our warehouse. So we had to sit down one day and really kind of simplify the process as much as we could, and then optimize it from there to make sure that we were getting as much out of it as we possibly could. And then from there, we started hiring employees to make sure that we could keep up with our growth, right? But even now, like I'm out of town, but we had I was telling you earlier, we had our biggest day ever earlier last week it was, and we're still fighting those growing pains. Like our team can't keep up with the growth that we have now. So it's just kind of a peak and valley type situation where we're crazy busy, and then we put in some processes to make sure that we can keep up, and then we scale it up again, and then we kind of just rinse and repeat, if that makes sense.
And I think it's a really good message. I know it's not easy to be like, oh, I still struggle, but it's a good message for everybody out here listening right now that Parker has a successful business. He's doing 10K shipments a month and still hits those growing pains. So it's okay to have those moments. And I think
Yeah,
you're right.
they're never going to go away. So you just need to learn how to grow and deal with it. Just
Yeah.
don't let it discourage you, and just like use it as motivation to keep pushing forward.
Right. I mean, that's amazing advice, especially in the crafting world. As a crafter myself, it can be easy to go into something and then just get completely flustered and then like have crafts sitting around that's half
Yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah.
Before we get to our last question that I have for you, I want to remind everybody that we will be giving away one of the beautiful wreaths from Deco Exchange at the end of this live event here. So please, if you want to enter to win, which you should because they're amazing, you should submit a question in the chat for Parker, and we might even be able to ask him that question live. So submit your questions now. This is your warning. And the last question I have for you, Parker, one of Deco Exchange's missions is to help turn people's passions into profits. With that in mind, what advice would you give everyone that is on this call that is looking to grow their business right now?
I think the biggest thing is just being authentic, like be real. Especially, a lot of our business is on live video. It's kind of been the theme of this whole call. But it's really hard to not be real on live video. It's really draining to not be who you are on video. And I think that that really plays into just your business in general. Like, I think you need to be consistent with who you are and be very front facing with that. Damon does a talk on this. This is like one of his pillar talks. If he's ever on stage anywhere, it's just being authentic is really, really important. Especially with cancel culture, just how the world is right now. If you are not real, like people can suss that out immediately and they're going to turn on you. So being authentic will turn a lot of people away, but the people who are attracted to you will just be that much more attracted to you if you're really who you are.
Yeah, being real with who your audience is. I mean, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but there are people out there who will agree with your mission and will agree with what you stand for, and that's what you lean into, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like Damon's kind of witty. He's sarcastic. He's very straightforward. And that's who he is all of the time. Like when the camera turns on, he's still that way. If someone says something crazy, he's going to call you out. He's 100% real all of the time. And that's how he's kind of built that audience. Like the audience knows what to expect, and they know how we treat them, and they know how to treat us. So it keeps everything kind of on a level playing field.
That's really good advice. I honestly, I don't think I've ever heard wiser words than that. Just be yourself, be who you are. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our first question here. And it is from Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Where do you see Deco Exchange in 10 years?
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so like less than 3 years ago, I was an engineer working in a corporation for someone else. So like 10 years in the future, I have absolutely no idea, but I'd like to have like our own brand in stores like Michael's and Hobby Lobby. I think that would be really cool, where Damon's kind of like creating his own kind of like the Pioneer Woman. You know, the Pioneer Woman's like in all of the different stores doing all the things. So I think that would be really cool to have like a Deco Exchange branded something somewhere. Um,
That is a
yeah.
good goal. I like that. Um, so question for you. Do you guys, how do you currently sell? So, or when you are selling and
Sure. So we utilize a Shopify store. That's like it's just really easy. It's really it doesn't require much technical skill, even though Damon and I are both really techie. It was just kind of like a plug and play thing where you could upload your products, you can go live, and our audience is a bit older, so they're not really like, I don't need to impress them with a website. I don't need all these crazy bells and whistles. I don't need all of this fancy stuff. So if you go to decoexchange.com and look at it, you're probably like, what is this guy doing? But it works for our audience, right? Like, it was just really simple, really easy. Add to cart, buy. That's all I needed. So that's where most of our sales come from now, is a Shopify store. But we also utilize something called Comment Sold, where I can go live and I can pull up items on the screen and they can add to cart directly from the video. They don't have to leave my video. They can shop directly in the live stream, which is a really cool experience for them. And they get to watch and shop at the same time, which is, it's kind of like HSN. If you think
oh,
about it, you'd have the commercial where you can call in and they can order.
yeah.
Instead of having to call, they can just type something in the comments and they can place an order that way. So that's been really working really well.
And
Excuse me,
what
with our audience.
is that an application on Facebook, or is that like a third party use?
It's a third party program. It integrates with Shopify and it also integrates with Facebook. So I can go live through Comment Sold onto Facebook, and any kind of order that comes in gets pushed into our Shopify store. So all of our inventory is still managed there directly.
That's really cool. It's modern HSN, as you said. Modern.
Yeah. So it started out with like boutiques, like clothing sellers and that kind of stuff, but we kind of morphed it into something that we wanted to use. So if you guys are selling clothing or anything where you can show the product and show how good it looks, it's a very visual shopping experience. So if that would work for your business, definitely check that out. What's it called? Comment Sold? Yeah, Comment Sold.
Perfect. So, next question for you here. How do you balance maintaining your physical business and your digital presence? I feel like creating a consistent digital content is a job in and of itself.
Yeah, any entrepreneur usually struggles with this, at least when they're starting out. We always tell people to time block. And if you don't know what time blocking is, you basically just sit down for a week or a month or whatever. And every 15 minutes, you write down what you did for the last 15 minutes. And from that, you can kind of segment it out into, okay, I was working on social media for this long. I was working on packing orders for this long. I was working on, watching TV for this long, playing on TikTok for this long. And then you can build a schedule around that. And then you just really have to stick to the schedule. Damon and I both live and die by our calendar. So if that's something that you're not doing, I highly recommend trying it out, because it kind of keeps you honest with yourself and with your business. If you're going to play on your phone for 15 minutes, you're going to have to account for that. You're going to have to write that down when you do your time block. So that's my suggestion. That's always where I tell people to start when they say that they don't have enough time for something.
That is such good advice. I personally, I do the same. I use an app called Toggler that is like a timer. So when I start a new task, I turn on my timer and then I stop the timer when I finish my tasks. And then I can go back and look at the day. And it really does shock you, because you're like, oh man, I was not thinking about how much time I spent in between things.
Sure.
Now, next question. Do you ship from your warehouse or do you use the 3PL?
We ship from our warehouse. Everything that we sell, we touch and pack ourselves, except for t-shirts.
So do you use a 3PL for those t-shirts, or do you just have a different vendor?
We use a print-on-demand company called Printful. We also use Printify. It's just shirts like this that we design ourselves, and we don't want to carry small, medium, large of 50 different designs. It's just easier for us to not have to deal with that. But that again integrates with our Shopify store. We don't ever have to talk to anyone, touch anything, and it just goes away.
That's really nice. That's a kind of a good way to take something off of your plate, for sure. Before teaching your live videos, do you tell customers what time it will happen, or is it just a surprise to the audience? Do you have a schedule?
Um, for our paying customers, we have a schedule and we stick to that schedule. For the free content that we put out publicly, it's not scheduled usually. We utilize text message marketing as well as email marketing and social media to let people know, hey, we're going live. So if you follow someone on Facebook, they'll get a notification on their phone that says Deco Exchange is live. If I'm going live with some new product, Damon will text our text list and say, hey, we're going live. If I have a big live sale coming up, I'm going to email our customers and say, hey, we're going live tomorrow at this time. So we don't necessarily schedule things, but we do use all the different ways to contact our customers to let them know we're going live.
Right. I mean, that's super important. You got to make sure you got butts in the seats. Um, So you did mention that you do have your paid customers. Do you just provide them with extra lives each month, or what kind of content do you kind of curate for that audience?
Sure. We have multiple different paid programs, but the two that I'm thinking of off the top of my head is a creative coaching and then a business coaching. So both of those, we have 6 coaches in each of those, and they each have a different day that they go live at a certain time. So that's set up every month, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they know exactly who's going live at what time, and that's just set in stone, and that's just the schedule.
Okay. And how often, speaking of that, of your schedule, how often would you suggest people go live or businesses utilize that and balance that?
It really depends. I know I hate giving the answer, it depends, but so many things do depend on who your customer is, as well as being authentic to yourself, right? Excuse me. If you're not in the mood to go live, it's going to be really hard to be authentic and be your normal self. So it really just comes down to what you're comfortable with, as well as what your customers respond to the most. Damon, for example, could go live literally 24/7 and his people wouldn't get enough of it. But your people might be different. Your people might not want to see you that often. You might not want to be live that often. So you got to have to find that healthy balance. It's like a work-life balance in a way, except it's like customer view balance. So it really just depends. Whatever works and you can be consistent with would be my suggestion.
Yeah, that's definitely knowing your audience. Speaking of that, I know that we kind of hinted on this before, but this question is, what is the average age group of your customers?
For our business coaching, it's mostly women 45 to 65. For our creative and our warehouse sales, it's usually 55 plus women again. So that's kind of like our general demographic is middle-aged to older women for sure.
Perfect.
Which is also why Facebook works for us really well, because most middle-aged to older women are on Facebook. So if you're trying to sell something to young hipsters, like you're probably not going to have much success on Facebook. You might want to go somewhere like TikTok or Instagram or wherever your people hang out. But again, that's the importance of building a community. You kind of know where they are, you know what they like to do, you know what kind of cars they drive, you know how many kids they have, you know all of these things about your customer. So if you don't know that, that would be my suggestion on where to start, like really hone in on who you serve, what problems they have, and how you can solve them.
And good segue into this question. What are some good I'm all about a good segue. What are some good topics for going live? Again, I'm sure you're gonna say it depends, but
Sure. Yeah. But for us, like, for example, like when it depends what you're trying to sell. Obviously, you're right. But for us, for example, we tell people or we show people how to decorate their door, how to decorate their Christmas tree, how to tie a bow, how to make a wreath, how to use the product that you're selling is going to get you the best results with your customer. And it doesn't always have to be about selling. But again, if you solve that problem and your product is the solution, it just makes sense, right? That you're going to sell more if you solve the problem for them.
right. Right. It's definitely a solid strategy for anyone. Work on solving, if you take one thing away, solve your customers' problems.
Sure, sure.
um, what amount would you say that you budget for marketing each month?
Oh, Jesus.
If you don't, you can politely decline.
I just don't have a good answer for you. We do a lot of organic stuff. We don't use much when it comes to paid advertising. So I don't have a good marketing number for you. I would gladly share. I'm not shy to share any kind of numbers with you. But it basically comes down to what are we paying for our email service? What are we paying for our text message service? And that's like the two biggest ticket items that we have for marketing. 99% of our marketing is free because we just show up on camera and we let social media algorithms take care of the rest. It's very little when it comes to paying for advertising.
Perfect.
Which also is a good reason why to build a community, right? You don't have to pay Facebook or YouTube or Google or anyone to find customers for you when you just have this group of people who are constantly bringing more people in to your little bubble for you.
Mm-hmm. And I'll preach to anyone who will listen that user generated content is the most powerful advertising tool you can ever have. Google SEO ranks user generated content over paid content 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
Damon just put something lovely in the chat. He said, oh, he didn't mention that our 10K package a month and 6 million products in sales is just the opening of our funnel. Once we sell people products, we have educational programs to help them learn how to use their products and how to sell their own completed projects. Your lives should answer your customers' questions. That's pretty sage wisdom there.
Yeah. So we have a whole customer journey built out, right? So not only do we have this perfect app, I didn't even mention it, but customer avatars. I'm sure you've heard that before, Aaron, when it comes to talking to other marketers and business owners. But we have that perfect person. We get them interested in our business by showing them how to use the product. They become a customer by buying the product. Then they were like, okay, well, crap, that wasn't as easy as I thought. How do I learn how to do it? So we have classes on them how to use it. Once they make it, they're like, oh man, I gave these to all my friends and family. Now I want to sell some. How do I sell it? So we have another product that solves that problem. So every step of the way, we are solving the customer's pain point with another product solution.
That's definitely really good. Judy asks an interesting question. So how did you get started building the community? Like you're at square one, how did you amass your community? What did you do to get people there?
Sure. So it really comes down to finding your perfect person, right? I mentioned it earlier, but your customer avatar, whatever it is, if you can identify that one person and then just collect a couple of those people, social media algorithms will find you people just like those people. So one of our friends has a class called 100 Perfect People. The idea is to find 100 of your perfect person. And you can do that by posting on social media, going live. But the key there is only talk to that one avatar. Only talk to Debbie, who's a 45-year-old woman who's an empty nester. She works a corporate job. She has money, but she's miserable and she wants to find something to do with her be creative and have an outlet. Like that's one of our avatars, right? Like I know every single thing about Debbie. I know what kind of car she drives. I know how many kids she has. I know all of her problems, and I only talk to solve her problems. Once I have Debbie, I go find another Debbie and then another Debbie and then another Debbie. And then all of a sudden, Facebook or YouTube or whatever it is like, this guy really wants more Debbies. And they start showing like, how many times have you scrolled through and said recommended for you, or you might like this, or whatever it is. All of these social media platforms are built around showing content to people. So if you create content and it's very clear who that content is created for, social media is going to show it to them and they're going to follow you. And then they're going to learn who you are and they're going to like you. They're going to trust you. Then they're going to buy your product. Then you're going to solve their problems.
Mm-hmm. And Debbie,
I know that was a lot, but I'm like really passionate about that.
I'm totally big off of this. Like you're right, and the Debbies that you target are going to find other Debbies as well because they like to share, and then they kind of do the work for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question we have here is, what are your top 3 money savers as you're scaling out?
Money savers. Oh, Jesus. I'm only good at spending money. I'm good at spending money and making money. Um, Saving money. Is there something more specific, like saving money? How? Like for retirement, for shopping, for uh,
Good question. If whoever asked that question wants to drop it in the chat or unmute themselves, we're more than happy to talk this out a little bit more.
Hey, it was
I'm
me.
trying to think.
It was in regards to shipping.
Okay.
Oh, saving money shipping. Yeah, great question. Um, ShipStation lets you input your own contracts or connect your own contracts with carriers. And Aaron, you might have more to add about this. But one thing we did when we first started out, like I only shipped, this is going to sound terrible. I only shipped USPS because I didn't know any better. We were shipping huge, heavy boxes and we were paying tons of money. And then one day I was like, wait a second, I could probably go talk to FedEx. Because USPS isn't going to negotiate with anyone. You know how the government's the government. They're going to do what they want. They're going to charge what they want. That's great. And then one day I called someone at FedEx. I was like, hey, I'm shipping X many boxes per month to these zip codes, this size, this weight. And they're like, I was on the phone with them, but I could hear their jaw drop. And I was like, okay, so what kind of rates can you get? And then I just pitted FedEx and UPS against each other for a few months just to get the best rates that I possibly could. So between them fighting over our business, like we have really good negotiated contracts. We use mostly FedEx now, but it was about 8 months of them going back and forth trying to find the best rates that they could for us. So that's one of my keys to saving money when it comes to shipping with carriers. But one other thing I like to do is kind of audit probably every quarter. What size boxes are we using? How many boxes are we using? And is there any fat that I can trim when it comes to, let's just say I have a 12 by 12 by 4 and a 12 by 12 by 6. If I can get away with just using one of those and go deeper instead of wider, I can get a better discount on those boxes. And the shipping is negligible when it comes to the price difference. So really kind of trimming the fat when it comes to what you use, how much you use, and just go deep instead of wide. That was one big mistake that we made is we bought all the different box sizes for all the different things just to get that perfect thing. But in reality, we could just get maybe 5 or 6 good size boxes that we use a lot of and just put some packing paper in there. Aaron, I don't know if you want to add anything about the contracts with ShipStation and all that.
I think you're 100% right. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. That's awesome. That happened. I think you're 100% right in what you did. I think the importance is having different carriers, but also knowing what you bring to the table. Like instead of just signing up for a FedEx account, go talk to an account manager at FedEx. Yep. Find somebody whose job it is to get you the best rate possible and go for it. And also to plug ShipStation because I'd be in trouble if I didn't. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally fine. We do have agreements and we do have like, for example, UPS with special discounted rates for our customers. And we do have ways to compare your rates. We have the rate calculator. You can see what prices things are going to be. So you don't have to just ship out with that one box that you think is good or that one service. I think varying things is the spice. Like the more carriers you have, the more options you have. I don't know if everyone would agree with that, but I do because you have more choices. But I think Parker, what you did is 100% right. And I know it's not great, but if you talk to them and you're like, hey, this is what I'm seeing from another company. This is what I've been paying. This is how much volume I ship out because carriers really respond to the volume you ship out. If you're hitting 10K a month, they want that business. So don't be afraid to kind of brag on how much volume you're actually putting through because that could help you get better rates in the long run.
Yeah, and a couple things just to go off of that. I used the reporting feature in ShipStation. There's one that's shipped orders under the analytics. And I just made a big pivot table off of all of that data. So I could go, this was even when we weren't doing, maybe like 500 a month or 500 boxes per month or something like that. I could walk into FedEx and say, hey, I'm shipping X many 22 by 22 boxes to this zip code, this zone, this weight. The average weight is this. Like I knew everything when it came to that. And that really kind of it made the conversation one-to-one when I knew all of these numbers already. So if you don't know your numbers, just pull that report and look and see, what is your average box size? What does it normally weigh? What zip codes are they going to? Because that's all information that if you give one of these carriers, they can help you with that. They can get you rates specific to that. Another thing I'm going to add here is we're actually on the FedEx e-commerce advisory board with like Kohl's and Home Depot and stuff for FedEx. And FedEx is very, very hungry for small businesses. So this is not sponsored or anything, but if you call 1-800-GO-FedEx and tell them you need a rep in your area, someone will contact you and they'll be able to help you get negotiated rates for different sizes and all that. So definitely reach out to them. And I'm not saying that UPS isn't doing the same thing, but I know for a fact that FedEx does that. So you can just call that number and they can help you out.
Definitely. And also UPS, I'm sure, has their own programs that you can look into as well.
Sure.
Now, just kind of talking about in ShipStation or as somebody who's entering values, another thing that I would recommend to you for shipping, always put your dimensions and your weight in. Always, always, always. I think that is one thing. When I was a support agent on the floor with ShipStation, that is the one thing I saw when people came to me and they're like, why are my rates just so ridiculously high, or why am I getting chargebacks? Make sure you have all of your information in, and it will help you get the better rate the first time. Next question here is, would you recommend investing in systems or people? We definitely could use better tech for shipments and process flow, but how much more important would that be than hiring the right people?
I mean, that's a tough question. I'll say this: we've spent very little when it comes to technology. Mostly because a lot of the stuff in ShipStation does what we need it to do at this time. Like the scan to verify thing, I bought this like $19 scanner off of Amazon. I plugged it into our computer and it worked fine. I used the locations also in ShipStation. That was basically me just printing some papers, cutting it out and laminating, and then sticking it on our shelves. So our employees knew where to go and what was row 1, what was row 2, what was shelf 3, what was bin 2. So it really depends on the level of your business, but I don't like hiring more employees won't help you if your process is inefficient. So you really just need to make sure that you're doing everything you can with the people that you have now, the best you can and the most efficiently that you can. And without like seeing your floor plan, seeing your business, seeing the number of employees, how many packages, how many SKUs, all that stuff, it's hard for me to tell you like, oh, definitely hire more employees, or, oh yeah, definitely invest in technology, just because there's so many different things, right? Like we have over 10,000 SKUs. I have a 16,000 square foot warehouse. I have 15 employees. What is your story like? I have no idea. But I would definitely, at the very least, make sure you're utilizing all of the different options in ShipStation, because the scan to verify thing has changed my life. And I saw a lot of people asking about what it is. Y'all, I have a barcode on, or a barcode reader plugged into my computer. There's a label with a barcode on my packing slip. I can scan that. It pulls up the order, and then I can just scan every item that goes in that order, and it makes sure before I print it that everything is in the order. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So just like here's one thing, I scanned it. Okay, it checked it. Scan it, check it, scan it, check it. Kind of like checking out at Walmart, right? You get that one big receipt at the end and you know all the things are on there. That's what Scan to Verify does for each customer's order. It's really great.
Mm-hmm. And we also have the ability to scan to print too. So when you're done and when you're ready to print, you can also scan to print. So you don't have to go in and just type and do all that stuff. You can use your barcodes as well. So hopefully that helps answer. And I know that we do have somebody in chat, and I believe I hope they've put in some information on our scan to print or scan to verify.
Yeah, I saw a few links go through.
Perfect. Okay. So what is the most important things in your business that you feel everybody should outsource if humanly possible?
graphic design is one of my go-to ones. Like really bad graphic design looks really bad, right? And that's something I always outsource because that's like a very technical, professional thing. But honestly, I think like outsourcing some sort of education is almost always worth it, just because we've had such good results with different business coaches going to events and networking. Like really invest in yourself as a business owner. And I know that's not necessarily outsourcing an employee, but outsourcing extra information to get into your business is almost always invaluable. Almost always.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What are your inventory management strategies like?
It's a hot mess. So we have all of our inventory managed in Shopify. Everything that we sell runs through our Shopify store just because Shopify integrates with so many things. Our business is very seasonal, and we usually don't restock the same thing twice, with the exception of maybe 5% of our items. So usually once it's sold out, it's gone. We're never reordering it again. But the things that we do reorder, I just have low inventory warnings. So depending on how much I carry, when it gets below 20%, it sends me a message say, hey, it's time to reorder, and I reorder that stuff. I don't know if that's the answer to the question that they were looking for, but I just basically set alarms whenever something gets too low to let me know to reorder it.
Now, because I'm sure this is going to be a follow-up question, are you setting those alarms in Shopify?
I want to say it's a Shopify setting, and I don't think ShipStation has that option. We also don't run our inventory through ShipStation directly. So I'm 90% sure it's in Shopify, where I can set an alarm to just send me an email and say, hey, this is low.
Perfect. Yeah, that I know that there are some capabilities that Station has, but obviously Shopify is probably more built out for that. So how do you retain your customers, and how do you capture emails from people, or what are your strategies? I feel like those are it's a two-parter. One question is,
Yeah.
how do you retain?
We retain mostly just by staying on top of mind. So once we have someone, like they do nothing but see us. Like if you liked our page, you're going to see us all of the time now. Or if you checked out our page, we're probably going to retarget you with a couple ads or something like that. But when it comes to just retention on selling a physical product, when they check out, we already have their email address and most likely their phone number too. So they get put on our newsletter. They get an email, once a week, once every other week, whatever it is, letting them know, hey, this is, it's like a nurture campaign. Have you heard of that before, Aaron? A nurture campaign where it like welcomes them into the Deco Exchange, ecosystem. It kind of introduces them to who we are, what we do, what are the different services that we offer, what are some free resources, what are some paid resources. So it's kind of like an onboarding process whenever we get a new customer. That way they know exactly what we do, exactly what they can get from us. And then they just kind of get blasted with different marketing tactics like email, text message, live video, all of those things.
I think you touched on that nurture campaign. That's super important. That's a key of community building as well, is onboarding.
Yep.
Ensure
Yep.
that people feel welcome in your space, because you've gotten a rather large space with a lot of people, and you want everybody to feel engaged. So that's a good way to kind of give people, the warm fuzzies and be like, oh, there are things that I can do here.
Sure. Yeah, we implemented like a 4 or 5 day drip campaign where once a day they get an email that kind of it ultimately leads them into our creative coaching program. But as soon as we collect a new customer, whether it be text or email, they get one new thing about us a day that kind of just gets them a little bit more familiar with us, right? So they know exactly what we do and who we are.
That's such an awesome strategy. It's the way to do it. I don't know if this next question is going to be something that you would be able to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways, because
Sure.
That's why we're here. At what volume did you have a real warehouse, not a living room or a garage? Do you have a warehouse?
Yeah, we do. We have about a 17,000 square foot warehouse now. I'm trying to think because we definitely had the pods in the driveway. We had packing on the kitchen table. Like we had that whole situation for a while. Um, it kind of just outgrew that, right? And then we found a warehouse that worked for us, and then we outgrew that warehouse, so we built another one, and then we outgrew that, so we expanded. So you really just kind of need to know like what can you handle. We're in Louisiana, so we have a bunch, like we have big houses down here. So like we could have done a lot in our house. We pushed all of the furniture to the side. But if you're like living in an apartment, a studio, you're in, California, New York, or whatever, where space is kind of hard to come by, you might need to get that sooner rather than later. It's hard to say. It's hard to answer that.
Yeah, especially if you're outsourcing. But I'm sure it's one of those things where you're like, okay, that's it. I need my kitchen back.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been there a couple times. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's see, one more question here. People are asking where you outsource, if you're willing to share, where you outsource your design from. Do you use Fiverr? Do you have a specific place that you go? Or
We have a few independent contractors that we've met through friends of friends, but we also utilize a program called Design Pickle. It is it's like just a service. You pay a flat fee every month, and they provide a certain amount of designs per month for you. Design Pickle, like pickle on your sandwich, designpickle.com will get you there. We have an affiliate link, but just check it out, you guys.
That's awesome. And I will definitely make sure to share, get in touch with you, Parker, and get some of the resources we talked about today and share those
Sure.
on the ShipStation community if anybody's interested. Let's see. Let's see if we have one more question here. Let's see. This is a question for me. What is the one thing that you didn't know when you started this that you'd wish somebody had told you?
Oh man, do we have another hour? I'm trying to think of just the best one I can think of. Probably how much work it is, honestly. Like I think a lot of people like think entrepreneur and like work from home. Like I think working from home kind of gets the same rap as entrepreneur, where you just kick back, you're at the beach on vacation all the time or whatever it is. But in reality, it's just like you're constantly worried about your business. You're constantly working for the next thing. It's kind of like you're in survival mode all of the time, where you're just always worried about the next thing. So I didn't know that as an entrepreneur, like going in. You hear the American dream and all that, but it's just a lot of hard work, and that's why I said earlier, consistency and persistency. Or consistence and persistence, or whatever it is.
I like persistency.
Persistency, yeah. It's just tough. It's hard work.
Yeah, but I mean, you can do it. I mean, look at where Parker is now. So like, don't give up.
Yeah, still working hard.
We have a question here from Rhonda that made me smile. I have a seasonal business selling Christmas ornaments I design. I feel people don't want to hear anything about Christmas until at least October, and then only about to New Year's. How do you keep community alive or connected in the off season, or do you even try? And before I get to you, Parker, Damon said something perfect. He said, Rhonda, stop selling to everyone and find the people that only love Christmas 24/7. I think that's the best. But Parker, I'd love to hear your take on that.
No, that's exactly true. There's that perfect customer. We all probably have that friend, right? That is just blaring Christmas music all year round. We've had Christmas up in our house for like 4 years straight. Like those people exist. And you're going to get a lot of, oh my God, she's already talking about Christmas. Like that's going to happen. But guess what? Those aren't your people. And they might be in December whenever you're selling more Christmas stuff. But there's those people that are always going to be crazy about Christmas. There's people like Warren who are like crazy about octopuses. There's people like who we sell to that are crazy about ribbon. Sure, there's those people who are like, oh my God, they're decorating again. But there's also those people who are like, oh my God, we're decorating again. So you really just have to find those people and don't let anything stop you getting to those people because they exist. There's a ton of people in the world.
Yeah, the internet is a big place. There is someone out there who will love what you love. And I think when you said earlier, be authentic to who you are,
Yep.
and your customers will be there. I think that's super, super important. So I do believe we are just out of time for now. Before we get into our winner of our giveaway, I just want to tell you guys, if you still have questions, you can go to community at community.shipstation.com, and you can in the upper right hand, you'll click on an avatar and you'll use your ShipStation credentials to log in, and that's how you can create an account and ask us questions. We have a Ship and Sip group where you can talk to us about stuff from Ship and Sip, where we'll share resources and things like that. So if you're still curious and you have questions, definitely meet us there and we'll be more than happy to keep talking with you. So I did say that we had a winner to get to. So before we do that, thank you again for Parker. Thank you so much for being an amazing guest, and for Damon in the chat, and for our amazing Cassandra and Jane who are in the chat today. Make sure to check out Deco Exchange and the awesome crafts they're making. Before we go, I would like to announce today's winner, and that is Vanessa Epps. Congratulations, Vanessa. We will reach out to you using the email you registered with to coordinate shipping of your lovely wreath. And if you guys didn't win this time, don't worry. We are sending out everybody a $5 gift card to Starbucks tomorrow and a follow-up email. And we are doing these Sip and Ship coffee chats online every month. So if you or somebody you know would like to be nominated as a highlighted user, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or email the events team at events@shipstation.com. Thanks again, everybody, and I'll see y'all next time.
Hey, Aaron, before we go,
Don't leave.
I got a few PMs about working with me directly. Would it be okay if I posted my email address just so that they could reach out?
100%, yes.
Okay. I didn't want to do that without asking.
No, definitely. And I'll share, if you're comfortable with it, I can share it on the community as well.
Yeah, that would be great. So y'all, if you message me or if you didn't even know you might be interested, I just dropped my email. We do a lot of business consulting. So whether it be physical product sales or social media or anything like that, you can reach out to me.
All right. Well, make sure to reach out to Parker if you're interested. Check out the community. And thanks again to our amazing sponsors, Channel Advisor and American Eagle, for sponsoring this event. We are so grateful for you guys, and we hope you have an amazing day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Aaron.